Hey YouTube, it's your girl Chic from Chic Speaks. I am here once again with my girl Miss V, aka Veronica Farish. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight we are going to get into this hot topic. Ime Udoka and Nia Long. Y'all, what that man do? He done pissed her off, her girlfriends off, her mama off, her sister off, us off, the dogs off. He done pissed everybody off. So we're gonna get into it tonight and just talk about it and see like what went wrong, what happened, how can we as women learn from this? Because I like to believe that every moment is a teachable moment. So we come on here to have real discussions. I myself am a married woman of 18 years. So I like to say I have a lot to add when it comes to conversations pertaining to relationships, in particular, how to get married, because many women would like to one day become married, but they don't know how to go about doing that thing. But you know what, sis, I got you. So please make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I do go live, and make sure you're following me on all platforms, Instagram chic.speaks, as well as YouTube Chic Speaks. Miss V, go ahead and introduce yourself, because I can't do it like you.
Hello, everybody. It's your girl, Miss V. I am here to assist my girl, Lashik that Speaks. I myself I'm on YouTube as Veronica Farish, Facebook Veronica Farish, and Instagram Veronica Farish. You can also follow me on TikTok, Miss V294, and I like to motivate and inspire you to live a healthy and more physical life, if that makes sense.
Yes, it makes a whole lot of sense, and you drop a lot of information that women need. I like to say Miss V is that her channel is like she gets you together, mind, body, and soul, to have you prepared for marriage. So once she done got you together over there, then you come on over here, and then we go ahead and start that journey of getting our husband. Y'all see how this thing work? It's a listen, you can't have one without the other, right? So we're
Yeah.
going to get into this topic tonight. We're going to talk about Ime Udoka. People are pissed off, men, women. They like, I know you didn't do my girl Nia like that. You really see how much love people have for her. And, sometimes it's like that, where when you're going through things, people show up for you. But you have those stories where people feel like, well, when they're going through things, there's nobody around. How many times have you felt like, okay, you were going through it, and it's just like, you look to your left, your right, and nobody's there. But in this situation, Nia, it's like everybody's there. Like she's just being, love is just being poured into her. And it's such a beautiful thing. So I want to talk about like what went wrong. How did she get here? How did they get here? What are some things that are coming out? Because it seemed like every day there's updates pertaining to the situation. And I'm just gonna say the updates aren't getting any better. It's listen, it's a lot. So Miss V, what's your thoughts on what's going on today with that whole little situation?
Well, I think that first of all,
You're
much
on
love.
mute. Okay.
Am I on mute? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Lachey?
Yeah, I
Can you
can
hear
hear
me?
you.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I think that a shout out to Nia. She's getting a lot of love, as you say, from around the world. Like everybody is really, standing up and speaking up for her. I think it's an unfortunate thing that it was aired out the way that it was. Um, I think they've been together for quite some time. And my stance on it is, your mate. You know your mate. And, we have this thing we call intuition. We may not be able to put a hand on it. We may not be able to see it, but you know when something's not right. I personally don't think this was a surprise to her. I think it's more of an embarrassment to her. I know you heard the saying that, do what you do, but respect me, or don't, I don't want to find out about it. I'm not saying that's the case, but again, she's been with them for X amount of years. I can't see being with somebody that long and not even having an inkling that something is going on. However, I do have one question. Who told? Who let it out? I'm not condoning one way or the other. I'm just saying, if you was being discreet about it, how did it leak out? Was he getting to the point to where he got so comfortable that he became messy and somebody else saw it and told? Or was the lady he's seeing, did she give him an ultimatum and kind of sort of let it spill through somebody else and let them tell it? You know what I mean? So it's so many layers to this. It's so many layers to it, I think. And I think that he's not sorry. I think he's sorry that he got caught.
I've heard that one, I think more often than not, that is the case. Someone being more sorry that they got caught. I do, like you, feel like he's been out there for a minute. It's just now the world came to know he was out there. Sometimes they say, it's one thing you doing wrong, but don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass the family. Don't be sloppy with it. Have show some respect, some type of respect. But again, as they say, sometimes they say it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And I think in this situation, he was just very messy, sloppy, disrespectful with it. And it just made for a whole bad situation.
Question, was he really sloppy with it? Because nobody knew about it until it was actually leaked.
Well, here's the thing. So I want to get into some things as far as I say every day, there's just different information that's coming out about this situation. So one thing that I've heard as of late pertaining to the situation is that there were women who were alleged to have been pregnant by him. And some of these women are alleged to have gotten rid of, ended the pregnancies for him. So my thing, when I talk about being sloppy, again, that's, not using protection. So that's leaving opportunities for babies to be made, STDs. So also another thing, a caveat that I heard is that she actually is the one who kind of leaked the information to his bosses about what was going on. So I thought that was very interesting. Yes. So, and, I was listening to, as I was in these different outlets on the internet and, reading what people had to say, there was quite a few people who said that when it first came out, that was a thought that they had, that they felt like maybe she was the one that put it out. So I thought that was interesting. So what do you have to say about that?
Very interesting, because when she put this statement out, like, respect their props, to give them time to do whatever they need to do. Then the next day, she posted, a woman that when you see somebody smiling, know that they went through the dark times or something like that. Yeah. And those are the type of people I'm not quoting it verbatim, right. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you should be careful. You don't want to piss this person. So maybe I haven't heard that, but maybe you go, Nia. Shit, you go, Nia. Hell. Ass want to see somebody and cheat on me after we've been together and I ain't seeing nothing. You go, Nia. If you tell it, okay.
So I thought that was interesting because, listen, so about Nia, I've learned she's also my fellow Scorpio sister. So when I read that, I'm like, listen, that's that sting we got. So I wasn't, it wasn't far-fetched to me, to where for her to put that out there, because sometimes they say you got to get in front of something. And if you can kind of control it, especially if you know it's going to come out anyway, kind of like when one will have a PR team and that PR team, advises you, okay, we're going to get in front of it. We're going to be the one to put it out. Therefore, we can kind of control how it goes. So when I was hearing that, I'm like, okay, I can see that. I don't know what kind of truth but I found it, it sounded like something that was plausible, to where I'm like, I can see that happen. And I started thinking about just myself personally. Would that be something I would want to do, is to take control over something and, and just say, okay, let me put it out there. So, it's an idea. And as they say, don't mess with no scorned woman, especially not no scorned Black woman. That's what they be saying, Ms. B.
Honey, that's the truth. I can't get you one way, I'm sure gonna get you another. Don't play with me. And just because I'm quiet don't mean I'm not contemplating. That's when you really should be worried.
When you're plotting. Right. But
if I'm not acting crazy, if I'm not acting irate, honey, that's when you should be worried. when I'm quiet and be like, okay, it's all good. That's when you need to be wary.
So from what I'm understanding,
that is car.
so from my for so what from what I'm understanding, she was sitting quiet, like, waiting for that opportunity, that time to strike. So I don't know. I would love if she were to spill that tea to talk about why she said, if there's truth to that, because if she did leak it, I doubt she would come out and publicly say it, but I would love to know, like, because listen, when I say we can plot, we can plot. So I would love to know what that master plan looked like as to how did she identify the optimal time. Because also what I was hearing is that he wanted to play the woman who he was alleged having this affair with. Allegedly, her name is Kathleen. She was married, children, and he was wanting to run off in a sunset with her. He wanted her to leave her husband. So he really was in La La Land.
Well, see, I hadn't heard that though. I've seen pictures of her and her husband, and a lot of times, we hear things through the media, we see things through the media, and we get it lastly a lot of times because we don't know exactly what's been going on behind closed doors. This could just be the blow up. It's like a surprise to us. But like you said, a Scorpio, she knew the whole time. Was just waiting.
Listen,
for the tsunami.
This Scorpio, and ain't nothing dumb about this one. So, whenever, I see a fellow Scorpio woman and I pay attention to how she moves, and I put myself in that situation, and it's almost like I was that person, because I know just how deep it can go with how we can really get into our minds and plot and really think things out. Because the thing about a Scorpio is, like, we like to be in control. So this situation, she couldn't control him cheating and being out there, but she could control how it was put out there to the world, because it was going to come out. So she, as a Scorpio, her, assuming that she put it out, it's just like, okay, you think you're doing something. Oh, y'all planning to run off into the sunset, huh? And you were just going to leave me in this one. Oh, that's what we was doing. Oh, okay. Okay.
I can see it going that way too. I definitely can see it going that way. You had said earlier, what lessons can we as women take away from this? What lessons do you see coming from this?
Well, for one lesson I see, I personally don't believe in spending so many years in a committed relationship with one person without being married. Because I feel that even though, marriage is a business, it's a contract, it's all of that. It's all of that. And then for women, especially women who want to bear children, like, time is of the essence. We can't move like men as far as like our timeline. Men really don't have a timeline because they can have babies.
Up until the day they die.
Yes, but that's not the case for us. So a lot of
what? Let me say this little sidebar. They can have babies up until the day they die. I don't know who would want to have a baby by an old man, because that baby gonna come out looking old. Anyway, go ahead.
Listen, that's what I'm saying. I used to hear that growing up, that that baby look old because the woman had a baby with some old man. The baby look out. Girl, let's stop talking about these kids. So I think when sometimes we'll find ourselves sitting in a relationship with one person and it's not going anywhere, and then when we do finally decide to wake the hell up, we're really angry and in our feelings because we feel like we've let the best years go by us.
And I'm sorry. What I would say on that is, now you and I, this is where we're different. My husband and I, we went together for 13 years. During that time, it was more or less like, we had broken up once during that time. And my thought was, I wasn't going to give him an ultimatum. Like, we've been together like 7 years, either you marry me or da-da-da-da-da. Like I said, women, we have intuitions and we know. There's no way that I was going to be like, I'm going to give you an ultimatum when I know that he still had some running in him. Although I may not have seen it, you know what I mean? you get whatever you got to get out of your system. And when I get to the point where I feel like I want to move on, then that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now, that was my story. You know what I mean? And so after 13 years, we had broken up, and then we were still friends and going out and stuff like that. And then he said, I'm ready, pretty much. Not those words exactly, but that's how it pretty much went, and I had a lot of flack from people saying, I mean, you've been with this man for X amount of years. If he loved you, if he really wanted you to be his wife, he would have married you by now. But my thing was, why give him an ultimatum and he's not ready? That's a recipe for disaster, and then you spoke on, wanting to have a child. Well, in this day and time, my opinion is you really don't have to be married to have a child. And a lot of people this day and time, they're choosing to have children without the full commitment of being married. That's just the day and time we live in now, versus to where years ago, when I was coming up, it was like, oh, you pregnant? Or what are y'all going to do? Y'all going to get married or what? You know what I mean? It was that expectation. Some people still have the mindset of, I'm not going to have a child until I get married. And then some people have the other, Me, I wouldn't get married because we have a child together. And as for Nia, they have a child together. And I think they got engaged when he was like 5 years old. So I think with her, it was more or less like that too. So what are your thoughts on her not, them not getting married and still being engaged? Because I know you said you wouldn't particularly be in a relationship that long, especially if you didn't see it going in the direction of settling down.
Okay. I feel like it changes the game when a child is involved versus if you got two people and there's no children involved.
Mm-hmm.
I personally believe that children thrive more in a two-parent household when they're with both of their parents. Mm-hmm. I do know typically when there is abuse upon children, is more often than not at the hands of a step parent, a parent that's not their biological parent. Mm-hmm. So I just think that the numbers fare more on the side of a child being with both of their parents. Mm-hmm. And then in a family dynamic, a nuclear family where there is marriage, because that's stability for that child. Mm-hmm. And the stats, support that. So you're going to have those situations to where, yes, you got all the negative things popping off in a marriage, but more often than not, those things are taking place when it's not a marriage, when the parents aren't together. So it's a numbers thing, it's a numbers, because you're going to have I like to call a situation, say like yours, a caveat, where you'll have one where, okay, we were together for 13 years and then he asked me to marry and we did it. Most cases, that's not the happy ending that people get. They either never get married or they end up breaking up because one or the other person wanted something that the other one didn't. Mm-hmm. And I think more often than not, early on, each person knows what the other person wants. It's just that no one wants to budge. And the person that wants marriage is kind of has this mindset of trying to maybe change the person or hoping that person is going to eventually change their mind, because time is continuously going. And a lot of people, let's face it, they have a mindset of, I don't want to start over. Like, I don't want to get out there and have to, vet people, introduce them to my children if they have children. Like, it's a headache. And then you hear so many people who are in the dating market and they talk about the struggles that are out there. Mm-hmm. I don't hear anyone talking, say anything positive about dating today. Mm-hmm. They just talk about how bad it is, so it's no one desires to really, if they don't have to get back out there. I think people would rather just stay in their dysfunction and try to make it work versus trying to take a chance with trying something new.
And again, I think too, people look at the investment that they have in this relationship, the time, the things that they built together. And so therefore, they don't want to start over because they're looking at, I've invested 7 years. I've invested 15 years. I've invested 20 years. And what do you mean? No, I'm not starting over. I'm just going to have to take him as he is and just work with it. You know what I mean? So it's that thing too of not wanting to lose your investment.
Yes, that's a real thing, because I've heard women say, well, a man's going to cheat anyway, so let me just stay with this one. Or if at least if he's cheating, he's taking care of me, his money is long, he's getting to the bag versus a Dusty cheating on me. So some of them will have the mindset of it's not what's happening, is who it's happening with, like the quality of the person. Like, okay, the type of cheater, the quality of the cheater. If he, is he a high earner cheater, versus a Dusty? Like they're factoring that in, because to them it's just like, well, they all cheat. So let's just look at what their bank accounts look like and decide from there which one I'm going to still stick with as he does his thing, which is expected. So
let me ask you,
go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Do you think all men cheat?
I do not think all men cheat. I do not think all men cheat. I think a lot of men cheat. Possibly even most men cheat, but I don't think all men cheat. But another thing that I think is that men cheat based on their economic status. So I personally think that the more money a man earns, the more likely he's going to cheat, because he has
feel like, I have it like that. My money is long. Either you get with it, or I can definitely get anybody I want because of that. But then, is that real love? Or are you getting somebody to love you for you, or are you getting somebody because your money is long? And then I guess they have to accept the fact that they don't really want me like that. If I didn't have any money, would they do this? You know what I mean? I think as far as Nia and Amadou, am I saying it correctly?
Ime,
I said a Mama Duke. Ime. I think they definitely have had problems in the past. I think more than less, and I think it's to the point to where she probably was faithful in the relationship, and at this point, although, because again, just like you said, when men have a certain amount of money, they feel entitled. And he once was a basketball player, right? And I know you've seen, and we just spoke on this a few minutes ago, where Shaq said he couldn't speak on it because he was a serial cheater. I mean, let's be real. I mean, Shaq, if I ever meet you, I'll say the same thing when I meet you. If you didn't have all that money, do you really think you would have been a serial cheater? I'm just saying, you know what I mean? And when you have money, it attracts a bunch of thoughts. It attracts a lot of people. Like some women thrive on getting their bag through NFL players, through successful people, so they'll play that game, but it's superficial. So again, with Nia, I feel like that, and I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I feel like that she loved him. She has a son by him. And although she may have knew that, of the multiple affairs he'd had, then maybe she was willing to just, maybe he need to get this out of his system. And then it came a time when enough is enough. And I told you, okay, so this is what we're doing. Well, this is what I'm going to do. Y'all may want to check out your boy and this chick right here, because this is what's going on. Because here's the thing, the owners, they've been investigating him since what? This summer?
They said a couple of weeks prior to her moving. So from what I was hearing, that when she was in transition to move to where he was at, he already knew he was under investigation. And he still allowed her to, because from also what I was hearing is that the woman he was alleged cheating with was the travel person who was assisting Nia and the son with transitioning them to the new home.
I would have beat her ass. You hear me?
Talk about keeping the enemy close.
Girl, I would have walked the dog on her. You hear me? What do you mean in my face helping me and sleeping with my man? Oh, okay. You know what? I would have played it real cool too. I would have played it. What's her name?
Kathleen, allegedly Kathleen.
I would have been like, Kathleen, I need you to come over here and listen. I need to talk to you about something as far as us getting this move together and everything. As soon as she walked in the house, I would have let her have it for real, for real. Now run and tell that. Go tell him that. And then I would have called him. You need to come on home. You need to come on home. Oh yeah. Yeah. I roll like that. Yeah, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
She actually assisted Nia and the son, and you see. That's all I can say is see. Girl.
So imagine sitting on all that information and still having to play cool. It's almost like you're like what they say, you're sometimes the last one to know. So you're having to just keep a straight face with what you know, and everybody else like no, and then you just waiting, you playing chess, not checkers.
But that's some bomb
so
ass shit. If she knew, that's some bomb ass shit for real. For her to keep a poker face, that's some bomb ass shit right there, to come down on his ass like a tsunami. Well, guess what, baby? Since you want to have that, you're gonna lose your job today. You about to lose. And you know what? The best place to hurt a man is in their wallet. You about to lose your job. You about to lose your I know, right?
You listen, that's that Scorpio energy. That's why when I learned
that's a chill beast. Chill beast.
If ask about it,
chill beast.
And then it's so funny because when I was listening, where people throwing this out, and I'm in these comments, and people who dealt with a Scorpio know about that energy, they was like, yes, I could definitely see it going down like that, because it's just we got a different type. Look, I always say, you better Google us, because it will behoove you to understand what you're working with when you walk up on the Scorpio. So if it went down like that, she beat him at his own game. She beat him at his own game.
Although I don't know, we don't know all the facts. Girl, I really hope it went down like that. I really hope it went down like that, because you know what, for her to post that video the next day, I think it went down like that. That was her way of saying, don't feel sorry for me.
She said, checkmate, bitch. She at the spade table.
I know. You know what? And it makes sense for her to come back, because I think it was ET or one of the outlets was like, she posted a really dark video after she came out and was asking for their privacy, and then she came out with this really dark video. At the time, it didn't make sense to me. When I heard, I was like, okay, so she can come back at him with some. Little did I know, she already did.
Yep.
As you say, checkmate, bitch. Look, my question is, do we still want to? Now that this is over with, do he still want to go off in La La Land with the side piece? So
you think he walking around the house in his feelings, looking up like she did something wrong? He looking over his shoulder. He watching his back.
If he's still in the house.
If he's still in the house.
We don't know. Like, where do they actually live? Like,
I don't even know. So with the new team that he was playing, was that Boston? So that's, because she had just moved up there before everything kind of came out. I think she'd been up there about 2 weeks, I think I'd heard, before everything broke. I think she had just moved up there. Really?
If she was like the mastermind behind this, right? She may have moved, but not moved. You feel me? I'm coming. I got to go back and get the rest of my stuff.
If she knew, so something about 2 weeks, it was either, so I think the investigation took place 2 weeks like prior to her moving, so he knew that he was being investigated within it was either 2 weeks or 2 months. He knew he was being investigated.
I think it was 2 months, if I'm not, because they contact an attorney. Okay. And before they really started doing the investigation, because they want to get all their ducks and everything lined up in a row. I'm thinking, well, damn. It seemed like one of the owners had tears in his eyes. Because I ain't gonna lie, I Googled who spilled the beans. And so the owners came out, but they wasn't telling anything. The only thing they were saying was that, that it was going to be on an investigation. Before they started an investigation, they contacted their lawyers.
So here's this part. So someone was, we were like, remember, they're saying that supposedly the woman that he was having the affair with, her husband learned about it from the home ring system, their security system. He heard, because that can record sound, and he overheard her conversation. So that's what I was hearing with how it all came out. So when I then heard Nia Long being a part of things, how it came out, someone brought up a point of, why would the husband have wanted to stop and listen to the recording of the ring unless somebody dropped a dime? Hey.
True.
And then that prompted him to start listening to, yes. So because they're like, because supposedly Kathleen was it. They've been saying that the woman he was involved with was the wife of like a VP or some high executive official.
Well, my thing is, if they firing him, what is the consequences for her?
That's the thing that people are asking, and they're trying really hard to protect the women, like as far as with the names. So as I say, there's a woman named Kathleen's name that's out, but I don't think that the NBA put that name out. You know how Black Twitter, people be inspect the gadget.
Honey, so this one girl done pulled it all up and showed the husband holding all three of the kids. She was like, they act like they can't find that. Honey, listen, we are on it. This is her 3 kids. They've been married. Yeah. She's got a Instagram page. She started her own little something. Yeah. This is her. I mean, I'm like, okay.
Yes. No, you're right, because they can protect. So what they're saying, it seems like they're protecting the women.
Why?
Like that's involved. I think it has to do with what the women look like, the color of their skin, personally.
Right.
Because they'll do better with protecting their image versus our image. So
I think somebody else, honey, her name would have been up there.
If it was Keisha, she was a cheerleader. Keisha, like all that would have been out. But Kathleen. So I think that it's just them trying to protect their own.
Wow.
And so, it's just
do you think it was warranted for them to go to those extremes, for him to lose his job? $3 million a year? $3 million a year? I mean, was it pussy brother?
Well, here's my thing. A lot of companies have rules pertaining to fraternization. So if there's no fraternizing and you broke that rule, then yes, it's warranted. If that's the rule. So my thing is, as long as they're not going against anything that wasn't already a part of the policy, like don't go making up new rules, because somebody my skin color broke it. You know what I'm saying? If it's already something in the HR book and I went against it. But from my understanding, that he had been doing this fuck stuff for a long time, and they have been pulling him to the side, having conversations with him.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, then you have it.
Yes. So apparently they were working with him because this was prior to him going to the finals, and they wanted him to carry the team through the finals. So they were working with him. And then after so from what I'm hearing, they tried to work with the brother.
I saw a picture of him. I've never really known him, but why don't you get somewhere and sit down with your high ass? Sit down somewhere bigger than it should be. I'm like that. Sit down somewhere. We can't do nothing.
I think he got excited. I think when he got that new job, because he used to be a basketball player, and I personally don't think he was really popping as an athlete. I think he was more popular as a basketball coach. So he got happy, girl. He got happy. He started getting like stuff that he wasn't getting in his regular day-to-day life, or even probably when he was an NBA player, and he started feeling himself. You know how that go? Kind of like them athletes and them rappers when they get that new money and they forget they ugly. Because now they got millions, they forget they ugly, they forget they short. It's just like, because they got what they say, money make you look good. That's what they say about Jay-Z. Money start making him look real good.
Real good, right?
Made Kevin Hart look a little taller, He look like he could reach the top shelf, And these men, they don't really care about, in the reality of these women only being around for these gains. Their thing is, well, I don't care. I feel like these men don't care the why, as long as they're able to benefit, because in their mind, they're like, well, I'm benefiting too. So if she with me for my money, okay, well, I'm gonna
Exactly. I think that's not only on that level, on every economic level of a man. If they gonna benefit from it, they gonna get it. No matter if they gonna hurt Kim, Keisha, or Bonita, they gonna get it. If they can get away with it, they gonna get away with it. And I agree with you. Back in a few conversations ago when we were speaking on, I asked you, do you think all men cheat? I don't think all men cheat. I think that men that do cheat is something within them that they're missing. The reason why they keep stepping out. I mean, he had all he needed to have right there with Nia. But then again, it's something because you had said before that, this wasn't the only time, So what is it about you that you got to keep seeing all these different women, sleeping with these different women to fulfill? What is it that you're lacking, son? That's what I'm asking. What is it that you're lacking?
From what I was hearing too, that the reason too why she had married him is because he had cheated before within the relationship. So she had her reasons, because back to, I had another conversation with you before offline about, she went on record to talk about her beliefs as it pertains to marriage. Mm-hmm. But the thing that didn't make sense to me is, if you're anti-marriage, why do you still walk around with the title of fiance? Because that word is for someone who has an intent on becoming married, the whole engagement process. Mm-hmm. So I just felt like it's not so much about her being anti-marriage, it's the man she's with and her not quite being there with wanting to take that step with him for reasons that we're now coming to learn, so I think it was just her kind of not seeing him ready for it, and she kept waiting it out. So in the meantime, there was this narrative of her devaluing marriage and its importance when it was really about something completely different. So that's
kind of agree with that. I don't think she was devaluing marriage. I agree. I think that she was basically giving him the time he needed to get his shit together. Period. And it was obvious that he couldn't get it together.
Look, she worked with a brother.
She worked with him. And I think too, because she had her son too. When you have children, you don't want men in and out of their lives. You know what I mean? So yeah, she was trying to work with him. And
yeah, children change the game. That's why I went back to, marriage. I feel like if there's no children involved and y'all choose to shack and do your thing, do you, boo. But when you bring children into it, I think it's important that we create that foundation, that structure for them. Mm-hmm. Because at that point, it's really not about you, it's about them. And if you have an understanding on how children thrive, then you're going to understand the importance of why they need that stability of having both of their parents in the home. So I understand that not all situations work. I get that. But my thing is, at least go into it with that mindset of trying to have something work versus just loosely, randomly getting pregnant and saying, no, I'm not marrying him. Like, don't sleep with somebody unprotected if you know they're not worthy of being your husband. Like, I've seen so many women, they get pregnant, someone will be like, oh, are y'all gonna get married? And they twist their face all up. So you mean to tell me that this person was good enough to procreate a whole human being with, that you're going to be attached to forever, but you're saying that you don't want to marry somebody that you can really technically get out of a marriage at any given time? Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense to me how people will more quickly have a baby with somebody than marry somebody. I can't understand that logic.
Honey, life has taught me valuable lessons. Be careful. Also careful who you lay down with. Because here's the thing. If they're not good enough for you to marry and you lay and have a baby with them, if something about them you don't like, guess what? 50% of their blood is in your child, and you still got to deal with it, So you have to be careful who you choose to have unprotected sex with. I'm just saying, I'm speaking from experience, Again, I would say, I'm not going to say if I could turn back the hands of time, because I love both my children. And I guess their fathers would say the same thing about me. I love my kids, but whoo, their mama. Honey, just be careful who you lay down with.
Listen, that you said a mouthful, because I personally haven't experienced laying down with and procreating with somebody that I'm like, what the hell? But I know there's many people who have. So I've always been that type of chick to where I don't have to experience everything for myself. I can watch the next person and see kind of how it panned out for them and be like, you know what? I'm good. I'm good. And I feel like it saved me from having to experience a lot of heartache, drama, just bad situations. And again, it goes back to being intentional about everything that you do. I've just always been someone who's just been very intentional about just the things that I do, the people I date, just everything, because I know that there's a cause and there's effect. Everything has consequences. Like, there's no do-overs. There's no do-overs.
Exactly.
If you don't get it right the first time, one can only hope that there's an opportunity for them to try to do something different, to try to redeem themselves. But oftentimes it's not. So we do have to be careful who we choose to lay down with, who we choose to welcome into our lives. Don't ignore the signs, because with this man, these signs were there. These signs were there long before she even became pregnant. But a lot of times we'll overlook them, especially when we are tired of going in and out of relationships. And we're just like, you know what? I'm ready to settle down. I'm tired. I'm just going to make this work because nobody's perfect. And that is true. But what they say, you have to pick your poison.
Exactly.
Because you have to pick your poison.
And then a lot of times we see what we want to see. We hear what we want to hear when you in that situation. You know what I mean? Like, you can see all the red flags, but that ain't what you really see. You seeing what you want to see, because you want to be with this person. But then it'll come back and bite you. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then again, okay. So when she first started dating him, maybe she didn't see the signs of this in the first, you know what I mean, before she had her son. Because, men can hide some stuff as well as women. Maybe after they had their son, then she started seeing other signs. Because they did get engaged 5 years after the son. Maybe after she had her son, she started seeing signs. And then when he asked her to marry him, she's like, yeah, but, not right now. Maybe about 30 years.
I think that, I don't know, I feel like within that first 5 years, there were signs, because it's only so long as I say somebody can fake the funk that you can be their representative. If things start to show themselves, personally, I'm someone, I feel like within the first year, things were revealing itself.
Right. But you know what? And you know what happens? When they know that you in love with them and they mess up, the first thing they're going to do is cry and say, I didn't mean to hurt you. No, nigga, you didn't mean to get caught. That's what it is. But, being the women that we are, because we emotional creatures, we want to believe the best. So we be like, okay, I'm going to get it together. No, good and darn well, you not going to get it together. You're just going to lay low for a minute. And then when that urge hits you again, there you go.
And as they say, you got to teach people how to treat you. So if he was used to doing wrong, and then following up with I'm sorry or buying a gift, then he knows, okay, well, if I do wrong again, I know how to smooth things over. Like, they're not crazy. They know when. So that's why we have to be consistent. We got to be true to our word. And if we're saying we're not going to tolerate something, we have to show that with our actions, not just say it and then it never have a follow through. So
I'm sorry, go ahead. Complete your thought.
I said for him, I was going to just say, for him to carry on in the manner in which he did, he felt confident that he could get away with it and that she'll be all right, because I've gotten away with it before. She's still here. Also, she's a middle-aged woman. She's comfortable. And I just got to try to be careful with how I do it. I just think that he felt comfortable, like he had all the cards in his hand. He had this new hot job. He was feeling himself. I think he was feeling himself.
With all of that being said, everything we just talked about, moving forward, what do you think your synopsis is, what do you think is going to happen now?
I feel like moving forward, I think she's going to still be there from what we know. I think she's going to still be there unless something comes out where there's iron proof pertaining to children.
Mhm.
Because I think from what I've heard, there was some women who've been pregnant before they got rid of the pregnancies, and there is even a child that has been born. But apparently they say he was sleeping with multiple players' wives. He was doing the absolute most, Miss B.
You mean to tell me he
I
was sleeping
call
with
it-
somebody's wife and ain't nobody went upside that head yet?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So I feel like as long as there's no children, no proof, like meaning a life, a child, I can see her staying with him because it's just, remember when Lala Anthony was with
Mhm.
Carmelo, and look how long she stayed until she
After the
finally
twins.
left. And
Yeah.
he embarrassed her time and time again. And I just don't see this kind of being any different, especially if she's used to him acting like this. She
Mhm.
might even feel like, oh, well, we even. I told on you, we even. Now, come on, what's for dinner? It's
Or she may see it, or she may stay and be like, you know what? It is what it is, you know. Listen, if I'm with you or if I'm with somebody else may do the same thing. Either we can work through this thing or we gonna work through this thing. Did you get that?
Yep.
I mean,
You might
you
want
know,
to pick the person.
I don't know, and because I think everybody's situation is different. Everybody's situation is different. Where one woman may say, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and just, you know what, yeah, this is a bitter pill to swallow, but I'm gonna go ahead and ride it out, because at the end of the day, you're a man. Men are gonna be men. And know that since you opened the door is open. So don't be mad when you see it again. Now go get me something to drink.
I think it's real tense right now. I think it's
Oh,
real
absolutely.
tense.
Is
But
there
if I
any
was
word that they're still together?
well, no one hasn't heard that they're not. You just more so keep hearing about these allegations of other women being connected to him, and these women being wives of the basketball players. And another thing I heard, Miss V, is that one of the basketball players was like, he messed with my wife, so either he go or I go. And
Oh,
supposedly it's a star player, but I don't know who that is. Yes.
well, I wonder if he's still with his wife.
That's what I was saying. That was my question. Like, okay, well, what about your wife? So it's messy. So it's like all of this, you really don't hear Nia's name coming up, but it's just all this stuff unfolding with him. So I just really see her gone if there's hard evidence to support a lot of these allegations.
Ah,
You
yeah.
see what I'm saying? Because it's different if someone say anything.
Mhm.
Now, even though Lala still stayed, when there was proof, there was a whole baby made. She still
Mhm.
tried to make it work.
Right.
He made it, she finally left. But I feel like with Nia, if there's no child out there, which is the reminder, I think if there's no child, yes, she'll stay. But I think if there's a child and she's learned, but then again, she could already know about the child. You just don't know. People.
Right. We're the last ones
Yep.
to know, right? So listen, ask your viewers, like, there maybe somebody just tuning in, drop some comments in the box or something and let us know what you're thinking.
Yes, let us know. Get involved in this conversation, please. As you come in, like, share, subscribe. Anything resonate with you, hit the Cash App. My Cash App is $speak50. And we just, listen, we just throwing out things we don't know. Like anybody else, we're just having conversation. It's a hot topic. Anything goes, and we just sitting with our popcorn and our tea and just waiting.
Okay, Liz, you got your drink. I left mine in the kitchen.
Listen,
I guarantee you, next Wednesday, I'm gonna have my tea here while we eating and talking. I'm gonna have my tea and my popcorn so we can just get it in. You know,
it seems like so many people are vested in this situation because as a woman, ladies can relate to Nia. And then for men, many men have Nia in that category of that woman that they would do right by. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if I had Nia Long, I'll act right. And then you got Nia Long and you're not acting right. So I think
listen, I'm not trying to hear that shit, because let me tell you something. Look, they can have the world and still look at Jay-Z and Beyonce. I mean, come on now. Jay-Z said their marriage is like anybody else's marriage. Not to put us down, because we all are queens. But when we look at somebody at that caliber, that status, like, how could he? He got everything that any man would want, and he still cheated.
And it goes back to say what you said, where it's more so about that man, not so much about the woman.
Absolutely. I mean, just like we have a poodle and we can give him a bone and he can be just as happy with that bone. But as soon as he see you eating, his little greedy tail gonna come right over to you and gonna want some of what you have. But you already got your bone kicked. But no, he licking his lips because they never satisfied.
And women need to understand that and not walk around wearing that, because their behavior a lot of time is associated with insecurities of women. Because they're like, okay, well, why won't he stop doing this and that? And a lot of times they start to think that it's because of them. So that's when a lot of them get into trying to change things about themselves, trying to become what they believe that other woman is, when it never had anything to do with you. It was about them looking for something really that didn't even exist. But you running around trying to figure out something they don't even damn know.
Drop some gems for these young ladies that's listening to this. Drop them gems.
Listen, you can't love somebody more than you love yourself. You love yourself at first. And if they do not love you as you are, let them kick rocks.
Exactly.
You know, there's a difference of someone. You got to understand the difference when someone's wanting the best for you and wanting to support you, because that's going to feel good. You're going to feel it. Versus when someone's coming along and wanting to manipulate you and control you, that's not going to feel good to you. So it's as you talked about, the intuition, the discernment, rule of thumb. If you no longer feeling good, that energy that they're giving off to you don't feel good anymore, it's time to go. It's time to go when it stops feeling good, because love doesn't hurt. You have your ups and downs. Even when you have your ups and downs with your partner, it shouldn't hurt. So when it starts hurting, then that's your sign that it's time to move on, cut your losses. There's a such thing as staying too late. Don't give up those good years, your best years, for somebody who's not worthy of you. You know, that don't, like I say, what Chloe Bailey has a song, "Treat Me How I Treat Me." So
love it.
Treat me how I treat me. So if he can't love you as you love yourself, then it's time to go on. You know,
absolutely.
We don't promote settling over here.
And I'm gonna pick it back up on what you said. Take it from somebody. Somebody probably be like, just tuning in, talking about, it's like, she been married 18 years. How she know? Well, guess what? I've been married more than once. I've been married, and guess what? I was the lady that always compared myself to who my husband was cheating on me with. Oh, if they looked a certain way, I tried to look the same way, right? I was young, didn't know that it was never about me. So no, this is not about you. It's about them. It's something that they're lacking, and you don't have to change anything about yourself unless you don't love yourself. Unless you have a bad attitude, you work on changing those things about you, but don't change because who you see him with. Change yourself because it's something that you see that you need to do to better yourself. You can't be like nobody else but yourself. And once you get all that done, you'll see. Listen, honey, you left the best thing that could have ever happened to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So a lot of times you know, I'm not going to say we, I'm going to talk about me. At times in my life when I was going through the rough, come on now, don't listen, click, share, and subscribe. Hell. When I was going through those things in my life, I lost who I was. I tried to compare myself to the next person. I was, if they was wearing Daisy Dukes, well, maybe that's what he liked. Well, let me go put on some Daisy Dukes. And at the time, these little shirts was in style, was hanging up. The girl he was seeing, you know, she was doing all that. And I'm like, oops. Hey, let me see. Yes. Oh, can you hear me, Lashe?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry. Let me call you back. No, Mom. Oops. I'm so sorry. That was my son. I'm so sorry. Go ahead and run the show. Excuse me for a minute.
Yes. So, I mean, you can't. I always say the moral of the story is you got to love yourself first. Like, you can't run around looking for somebody to love you more than you love yourself. And anything that you do, it has to be rooted in something that you want, because that's the only way you're going to stick to it. I always say, like with working out, changing anything about your body, if you aren't doing it for yourself and you're doing it for a man or somebody else, if they were to leave, then chances are you're not going to keep that up. Right? Because that person who you were doing it for is no longer there. So you're going to be like, well, what for? Why am I doing this? But if you were doing it for yourself all along, then right, you're going to want to keep it up, right? Because it was always rooted in just who you were, what you wanted, and you're more apt to stick with it. And that's where the consistency comes in there. And when people come into your life and they take notice that you're consistent about how you move, they're going to respect that and try to move in accordance with how you move. If they see that you loving on yourself, you caring about yourself, you caring how you look, you appreciating yourself, you taking good care of yourself, guess what? They're going to follow suit and do those same things. But they're not going to try to teach you or treat you better than what you're treating yourself. Where are they doing that at? They're not doing that. They're like, okay, well, I see you treat yourself like you're high value. So I got to come in and do the same thing. But if they see you treating yourself like you ain't worth ish, they going to treat you just like that, because you set the expectation on how you are to be treated. No one else. Don't let anyone else ever tell you what your value is. I always say, if you know who you are, can't nobody come along and tell you otherwise. Somebody can't come along and tell me who I am, who Chic is. I know who Chic is. So you don't need to tell me. You can say who you think I am and I can co-sign it or not, but you're not coming in here telling me who I am. I know who I am. More of the story. So that's the thing that I say, young ladies, you need to know. And it starts with, I guess I can say it starts with self-esteem. There's so many ladies I feel that struggle with self-esteem. The self-esteem is just not there. It's very low. It's in the ground. And a lot of times as a child, it started, as a child where in the home, there was just trauma taking place in the home, abuse, and it resulted in these young ladies not having high self-esteem about themselves. So then they go and get in these relationships looking for something, searching for the love of a man, because a father wasn't there. So they don't know what it's like. They're just looking for just some masculine energy. So they never had an example of what's good energy versus what's bad. So the first man they come across, they're like, okay, what's a man? He's doing the most. He's doing these things to me, but it's a man. He said he loved me. So I don't have anything else to go off of. He said he loved me. No, yeah, it hurt, but he says he loves me. So, we got to surround ourselves with positive people who are loving on us. And as I say, if it hurt, if it don't feel good, that's not the situation you need to be in.
First of all, I apologize. Please forgive me. But yeah, I agree with everything you just said. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And I forgot where I was then.
Yes, you just talk about just love and doing things for yourself, because that's the only way you're going to keep up with it. You've told your story about how you've done some things, made some changes because it was rooted in what you want to do and not for somebody else.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I do think that it's just going to be a thing to where we're just going to have to sit back and just watch and see what happens. They may be
Yes.
like Jay-Z and Beyonce decide to go to counseling and get it together. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not mad at them either way they go. But whatever decision she make, if she happy and like it, I love it.
Right. One thing I don't see now what I see her sticking around, but the marriage part, I'm not holding my breath that's part gonna take place. But I don't really see sis, jumping ship because, they have a child together. And I see her trying to prioritize that situation as far as with what she believes to be, a family unit and trying to save face for the child. Because you got some people who will just put their whole feelings and the reality of things, they'll just completely dismiss it for the facade of things. And I can see where for the protection of her son, where she may try to kind of keep things going as long as she can. But, as you say, it remains to be seen. So you guys, thank you for joining in. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe. Let us know what's your thoughts. Drop a comment because it's very interesting. As I say, I'm going to continue to follow it. Things almost daily are getting broken in, as far as the details behind what went down. And it's juicy, but at the same time, sad. It's like almost like, I hate to use the word entertainment. It's definitely content for many people, but it's sad that this is someone's life,
Absolutely.
So I like to kind of keep that in mind when I come on my platform and talk about people, that these are people's lives. They have children and they have feelings too.
Absolutely.
So, they're no different than us. So, Spee, go ahead and tell the people how they can find you.
Again, you can find me on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, Veronica Farish, and on TikTok, Miss V294. That's how you can find me. And if you're looking to get uplifted, if you want to work out a little bit, watch me work out, then hop on over there, Veronica Farish. I'm here to make your day just a little bit brighter and encourage you just a little bit longer. Okay? All right, that's how we get down over here. And LaChic, I always like coming on and conversating with you. You always have some really good topics, great conversation. You got the tea on how to help people, young women and men, do the thing, do the work if they want to find that partner, to spend the rest of their life with.
I appreciate you, Miss V. I do. It's always a pleasure having you over here on my platform, Chic Speaks. So you are welcome anytime. We always have great discussions and conversations. You're so hilarious. We just have a good time over here. So I definitely look forward to our collaborations. And as you said, yes, if you ladies are looking to get married, fellas, listen, I am your girl. I can talk to you about just what that looks like. What are some things that you need to be doing to prepare yourself to get married, to get that wife, to get that husband, so you can get that ring and get married. Because I understand a lot of people aspire to become married one day, but many don't know how to go about doing it. You got a lot of people talk about, oh, I want this. I think this is how you do it. But I can tell you how it's done. I've been married for 18 years, so I have a lot to share. As they say, each one teach one. And I'm just here to teach anyone who's interested in getting married how to do just that. Get married. You want to get married, get married. It's not rocket science, but there are some things that you need to know, some tools that you need to have in order to yield the best results to get that long lasting marriage, because that's what we want over here. We want long lasting quality marriages. So please make sure you like, share, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at chic.speaks, and also make sure you're following me on YouTube at Chic Speaks. So again, I appreciate you all. Definitely drop a comment. I love to read the comments and just keep the conversation going, because it's a hot topic and we here to talk about it. So until the next time, peace.